Gog and Magog is only supposed to take 12 minutes. And for 250 years, no one understood what type of war would be over in 12 minutes. Now, unfortunately, we know exactly what type of war could be over in 12 minutes. That would be a nuclear war. But there are descriptions in Zechariah. It talks about people's flesh melting on their bones.
Wow.
Which is really a description of nuclear holocaust.
I guess Gog will be the leader of all this group, the nations that come against Israel. And I'm bringing you to the land of Israel. Over there will be your destruction. I'm gonna send fire to Magog. 7 years the fire will not stop. 7 years. Everywhere will be burning for 7 years. It's a 2/3 of the world will die. If you have 7 billion today, you are talking 4.5 billion people will die. 4.5 billion. How does it happen? Only with atomic war. There's no other way to kill so many people. But the Vilna Gaon already said 250 years ago that the last war really will be 9 minutes. Of course, it's going to be 7 years, everything will be burning.
No. And the Gaon of Vilna explained that the war of Gog and Magog, the final stage, will be only 12 minutes. The Western nation, the Christian nations, and the Islamic world will have a feud among themselves.
The script has already been written. Gog and Magog, which is the last final war, where there will be Avnei El Gavish, as the prophet says, raining down on the enemy. Avnei El Gavish are meteorites. The war of Gog and Magog is the last war. It's a final war. It's after the battles and the problems with the Persian king. And that is a war against the Jews alone. That is a war where all the nations will gang up on us. And why will they gang up on us? They will gang up to take away Yerushalayim from us. So what that means is that not everyone will survive. And as I said earlier, of the entire world's population, 2/3 will disappear. And when we say that, we mean everyone, even amongst us.
First off, before Mashiach comes, there's going to be a war called Gog and Magog. The war of all wars. This war is going to the prophet Zechariah chapter 14. If anyone wants to get really, really scared, go to the prophet Zechariah chapter 14. It describes a nuclear war that destroys the world. It tells you how people are going to melt, the eyes are going to spill like liquid. So the point is that Zechariah says that this war initially is going to destroy 2/3 of the population. So you have 8 billion people in the world. Right off the bat, 6 billion are gone.
We're told that nations will go to war against Jerusalem. These nations will fail. They will be destroyed. They're described in detail in these two books, Ezekiel 38 and 39, and Zechariah, just the last chapter. The war is going to be two parts, two nations, or two corporations of nations that will go to war against Jerusalem, and they will be utterly destroyed.
Well, the interesting thing about it is that there will be a war which is predicted in Ezekiel 38, 39, that it's called the War of Gog and Magog, or in English, Gog and Magog, I think. That war is a messianic war. It's a war against the Mashiach and the Jews, because the nations of the world realize that the truth has arrived and that their time is over. And this will be the last attempt to recapture Israel and try to restore their former glory. Then at that war, the Mashiach ben David arrives. That's when he comes in. He enters the stage and he wipes them all out.
Just one match can ignite a world war, and it can start from Europe. They are Christians against the Muslims. Millions of Muslims want to conquer France and Germany, but God is bringing them back. It's all happening. The nations will kill each other and we will remain. You come say, It is possible for every bomb to be targeted to hit a non-Jew and not a Jew.
There's a war of Gog and Magog. First one, as the Chafetz Chaim said, was 100 years ago, World War I. Second one was World War II, and we're on the cusp of the third one. But the purpose of all of these wars, of the Gog and Magog war, is to get everything into its correct order, to bring the Jewish people, to raise us up to the point where we are potentially supposed to be the spiritual leaders of the world, as well as the physical leaders of the world.
We need the remaining nations of Esav and Ishmael to fight it out over Israel. We need the remainder of those two to then join forces and bring everyone that's left to Israel to try and destroy Mashiach and the chosen people. This is Gog and Magog. All these things they're going to develop into World War III. Remember the Vilna Gaon almost 300 years ago. He said that the final war would take place, it would take between 7 and 12 minutes. But this is sure hinted in Zechariah 14:12. And this shall be the plague wherewith the Lord will smite all the nations who besieged Jerusalem. His flesh will waste away while he still stands on his feet. His eyes will waste away in their sockets, and his tongue shall waste away in his mouth.
And I'll just share with you some of the elements of what they describe as what will be going on in the world right prior to the Messianic age. We're told that there'll be epidemics and horrible diseases. We're told that there'll be international wars and conflicts, that there'll be famines, that there will be poverty and runaway inflation.
What are the two nations that will last until Mashiach comes? Rome and Persia. Now, if you would like to think that today's Iran is Persia, then maybe you say, okay, I got the whole story. Rome is today America. Rome is, the heirs of the ancient European world, the Roman dynasty. That's the United States of America. And Iran, that's Persia. So, at the end of days, it's going to be World War III between Iran and the United States of America.